3 years down the line is about as much as what I can hope for at the moment.
Well, it's pretty much ruined our family.
There is no cure. When I left school from 15 to about 30, 32, I worked for very small companies, and then I set up on my own. Working for Housing Association, works in these old buildings. And it's mostly old buildings that contain the old asbestos because they use it extensively there. I just had some pains in my chest. I went round the doctors. He thought I'd pulled a muscle, but 2 or 3 weeks later it's still the same. I went up to the hospital to have a chest x-ray. They popped me up to guys. I was in hospital for 3 days. They take a little sample from inside your lung. Went back and he said, "You've got mesothelioma." I said, "What's that?" He said, "It's lung cancer that forms in between the line of your lung." So I said, "Oh," he said, "What's the treatment?" He said, "Well, there's very little treatment." He said, "It's terminal, really." I wasn't aware of it. No one was aware of it. And there's a lot of people still not aware of it today. Well, if I'd have known about it when I was a teenager when I first used asbestos, obviously I would have put a mask on or I would have refused to use it. But I knew nothing about it then, nothing at all. It's taken away 85% of what I used to do, really. I've been in hospital for probably 3 months. I've gone through quite a lot of pain and my life has been cut short. If I'm very lucky, I say I've got 3 years left. It may not be that long, it may be a year.
Well, mesothelioma is, for many people, a hard word to say and a disease that many people have never heard of, but it doesn't mean it's not a major healthcare problem. And we're in the middle of an epidemic here in the United Kingdom. And over the next 5 to 6 years, we're expecting that epidemic to peak with more people dying of asbestos-related disease than of road traffic accidents. So this is a major issue and it affects young people across the country. The asbestos fibre is very tiny, and that is the trouble. This is a mineral that can form a dust and enter the lungs, and because of its very tiny diameter can penetrate very deeply into the lungs. I think younger people working in trades which could potentially expose them to asbestos need to remember that this isn't an old man's story, and asbestos is still ubiquitous in buildings constructed really right up until the end of the last century, of the 20th century.
It's a family business that we run. It was my dad's business. Myself and Joe, my brother, came into the business about 5 years ago. But then my dad was diagnosed with cancer. My dad's such a big central part of my family, all the grandchildren, and obviously was part of the company, and so he wasn't just like, you know, my dad and a granddad that didn't really have a big part to play in the family. He's huge, so it's affected my family massively. I was aware of asbestos, but really nobody takes it seriously. I think everybody just, you know, you want to earn the money and everyone says, "Oh, it's all right, it's only the certain types of asbestos that are dangerous." So we used to just remove it all the time. But even now, it's just amazing really that people still don't really take it seriously. I think everyone thinks it's not going to happen to them. Until someone in your family, you know, nobody seems to take it seriously. Even the blokes who work for me don't take it seriously. Now I'm aware of it, I'm looking for it, but yeah, asbestos does seem to be in a lot of places that I think that, most people don't realise. I would say that if you ever think you found asbestos, don't really take the risk. It's not expensive to get a company in to have some samples taken, and if it is asbestos, just don't attempt to remove it yourself.
The campaign we're launching is called The Hidden Killer, because that is exactly what asbestos is. Even though people are aware of its existence and of its effects, very few people are aware, I suspect, that there are 4,000 deaths a year caused by asbestos today, and that we've not yet reached the peak, which is the legacy from years gone by. We expect that the number will peak at more than 5,000 a year. I think the problem today is that we associate it with being a problem that has been and gone. Because the substance is now banned, Because we regard it as something that a previous generation were exposed to, there is a real risk that younger people entering the workforce today will think this doesn't apply to me, but it does.
3 years sounds a long while, but it goes so quick.